with a sin nature, and he has no sin nature, because we're here to learn an experiential knowledge of good and evil, and to find out what you're made of on the inside. You know, will you be like an animal and strictly self-survivalist, or will you give of yourself like Jesus did, animal, like the disciples strictly did, self, like he commands us to do? The faith, hope, and charity. But the greatest of these is charity. That means when you get to where you finish get to the end of the procedure and you can give of yourself sacrificially for others, rather than thinking me, 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 me. You're thinking, you're not thinking you at all. You're thinking only of others rather than yourself. See, God will think of you if you just think for everybody else. And that's the key. He says right here, he says, for some have not the knowledge of God. I speak to your shame. So it's like when believers are released from the captivity of the world, we tend to get sucked back in. If we don't maintain a daily study and a daily walk with God, it's real easy to get sucked right back in to that mindset. And he's saying, I speak this to your shame. Don't let it happen. Now, 1 Corinthians 15:35. Let's see if we can make some tracks here. But some man will say, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? They're asking, how are the dead raised up? And with what body do they come? It's what I think it is like what we just discussed, that how are the dead raised up? Well, if this is a simulation, if it's virtual reality, death is just leaving the simulation, and resurrection is just coming right back into it, to the body you left here, isn't it? Technology, not mysticism. So how are the dead raised up? It's possible that, like with VR, your real body's outside your range of perception, and once you're pulled out of this world, you find yourself there. Just like if you go into VR in this world and you put on the glasses and you're in some other world, you're in Australia or on top of Everest or whatever, it looks and feels like you're really there. But if you take the glasses off, you're not really there, are you? I think that's kind of like what we're looking at here, that this world is a temporal created world, not real. So that would answer how the dead are raised up, right? If you leave VR, you can just come back inside it, and your consciousness is reinserted in the body that you left here. And with what body do they come? Now, if it's technology, then regenerating your body is no big deal, is it? Because it's digital. The Lord has your DNA recipe. The word says every hair is numbered. That means there's specifications on these bodies that we're in. And so he can, with some, code changes even, can cage death, okay? With code changes, he can give you an immortal, flesh, perfect, strong, healthy body. Just with code changes, if that's what this is, if it's digital. In verse 36, thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. He says you're not going to be what you can be and what you ultimately will be until you're planted in the ground. So whatever we think we are now is not what we will be at some point later on down the road. Because he says, thou fool, that which thou sowest is not quickened except it die. So he's talking about a seed. Okay. You put a seed, if you have a seed sitting in a package in your pantry, it's not going to grow, is it? It has to die and be planted first. You have to plant it under the soil. It's like our bodies. He's likening our flesh bodies to a seed that is planted. And after it's planted, it becomes what it will. And that's what he's talking about there. In verse 37, and that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. He's saying the seed doesn't look like what the end result of that seed's going to be. Okay? Yeah, maybe like with flowers. You know, you plant a bulb, a flower bulb, or like a tulip bulb or whatever. You can't tell by looking at the bulb what it's going to produce. And that's what he's saying. He said, and that which thou sowest not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or of some other grain. You don't know what kind of seed it is or what kind of grain it is. Now, you learn how to recognize seeds of which they are. But, you know, if you've never seen a seed before and somebody hands you one, you have no idea. Well, I don't know what that's going to be. I can hold a seed in my hand, and I have no idea what it is. Whether is it broccoli or is it daisies or what is it? I have no idea. But he's saying it may chance of wheat or some other grain. But God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him. So the body it receives is that which is pleasing to the Lord, and to every seed his own body. So we are, the word says in Matthew 13:38, we are, that the field is the world, the good seed is the children of the kingdom, and the tares are the children of the evil one. That's what it says. It doesn't say that we're all tares and then we become wheat as we learn about Jesus. No. You're born either wheat or tares. If you're wheat, you're under the sacrifice, and Jesus is going to call you out of the captivity of this world. If you're a tare, you don't have a salvation plan. You're just programming. Okay? Just programming. Because you say, well, gosh, how do you know that? And well, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. If Jesus is in you, you're alive. If Jesus is not in you, Jesus is not in them, and he is the life, so they can't be alive, can they? Well, what are they? Programming. Animated dust. Just programming. But God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body. Verse 39 of 1 Corinthians 15. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. So there's different types of flesh, is what he's saying here. In verse 40, there are also celestial bodies. That means bodies of things that exist up in the stars, and bodies terrestrial. Did he just tell us that we are not alone? Yeah, I think that's what he just did. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial. Ours are terrestrial for on the earth, but the person we are on the inside is celestial. Okay? But this says there's celestial bodies. Now that means there's something out there with a body. That means we're not alone. There are things out there. There are positive and negative forces, which are called angels and demons and devils. In verse 40, there are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another, something totally different. In verse 41, there is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars. For one star differeth from another star in glory. So he's talking about how all these things have different types of bodies, but they all have a different, they all have glory on different levels. In verse 42, so also is the resurrection of the dead. In my mind, I don't want to remember somebody that way. And so I try to avoid it. If I can possibly get out of it, I don't go to funerals, because we don't grieve like those who have no hope. Okay. I just know that they've left their body here. They're fine outside the simulator, and they'll be back. So it just seems pointless to me, from my perspective, to go through all that, funeral stuff, because it's not goodbye. It's just, I'll see you later. And that's all it is. It is never the end of the world for the children of God, dead or alive. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. Karen says, why does only one receive the prize? Well, I think we talked about that. Did I say that, or did I just dream it or something? I know that that's pretty far back. I need to scroll forward, don't I? The prize, we are all individually after the prize. I think I might have answered that. Now I prayed for everybody. Hi, Natasha. It's good to see you, sister. She says, in my opinion, we're living in a VR. It makes perfect sense if we are. Let's see. The Resurrection Uncovered. Welcome. Resurrection Uncovered. Hi, Ann. Okay, let's see. Oh, there's Alana. Hi, Kelly. I'm so glad to see all of you. And Ann, nice to see you, sister. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking here. Just want to make. Karen says, I believe in the Bible. Woman was made from the rib of Adam to be his partner, to walk beside him. Man is the head of the household. And that's what we're supposed to do. Do you know it takes more strength, more inner strength to submit than it does to lead? It makes sense to you, Natasha? She said she thinks that it's possible we're living in VR. Crash, I'm trying to figure out, you're talking to everybody else. You're not really asking questions, are you? Crash, are you male or female? Some things you say make me think that you're male, and some things make me think that you're female. So I don't know. Can you clue us in? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 41. Straight up. Straight up. into our study. We're in 2 Corinthians. And let's see. We are in chapter 6, verse 17. Hi, Janine. Great to see you, sis. Okay, let's get going. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord. And touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. So before this, let's review 16. And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. Ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Isn't that cool? Verse 17, wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord. Don't yoke yourself together with the wicked, okay? And touch not the unclean thing. Now, what's the unclean thing? That's like doing, that's like bowing before idols and things like that. Don't go there. Because another God, thou shalt have no other gods before me, he says. If you have a different God, you're honoring a different God, you're bowing before idols, you're praying before a Mary statue, whatever. You are touching the unclean thing, okay? So don't touch the unclean thing. Don't go into idolatry. And I will receive you. See, it's not, the foods are no longer unclean. So it can't be foods and things like that. When Jesus died, actually, he declared all foods clean. So there are no foods that you can't eat that are considered unclean anymore. There are foods that aren't as good for you as others. But the unclean thing would not be food or anything like that. It would be another God before him. Okay? And I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. Glory to his name. He's wonderful. Okay, let's go straight into chapter 7. And we're going to start at verse 1. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. Holiness is obedience. Okay? In verse 2, receive us. We have wronged no man. Actually, holiness is not obedience. It's obedience by the flesh. But holiness is being born with the temple inside you. But perfecting holiness would be those with the temple inside them being obedient. Okay? In the fear of God. Verse 2, receive us. We have wronged no man. We have, are we? Okay. Now, let me finish the scripture. Receive us. We have wronged no man. We have corrupted no man. We have defrauded no man. Okay. Now, before we move on, Troy is saying he thinks we are on Facebook as well. Let's check it out. Let's check it out and see. Troy, are we looking at the same one as yesterday? Or the other one? I don't see it on that one. Let me go switch accounts to the other one and see if I can find it. Okay. Ooh. Way happy, way happy. Troy's got us live. He's got us live on my Facebook wall that has the hyphen. Hello, Troy. Yeah, it's I can see it on the one that has the hyphen. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I see it. Awesome. Let's see how it goes. Thank you. Bye. Okay. We are live on Facebook on my wall that has the hyphen, as well as YouTube and the website and CUBN's network. Okay, so there's some of the places where you can find the show. Cool. I'm going to see if I can... let me split these out. So I can see them both. Because I want to be able to talk to you guys who are watching by Facebook as well. Now, yesterday there were several people watching on Facebook, and they were talking to me, but I couldn't see it. Okay, so now I've got... I can see you, Karen, on the live Facebook. Okay, and then let's see. Then on YouTube, I'm going to put that one right next to it. Got YouTube. Wow. Amazing. Okay, that's great. I'll try to pay attention to both of these feeds. And hey, Janine, you're fixing some supper, huh? I'm hungry. I haven't ate all day long. I usually don't eat before my shows. It just is easier that way if I fast all day to just turn everything over to the Spirit, and it goes so much more smoothly. If I've eaten, I tend to get in his way, and I hate that. I just want to stay out of his way. Okay, but I am so hungry when the show